which the schools didn't have. I had a furnace.
And what grades did you teach?
All 8 grades, kindergarten, and when I taught at country.
You would teach from kindergarten through 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like, teaching multiple
Well, I was
classes?
used to it after going to country school for 8 years. I knew what it was all about. So you'd teach one class, and then the rest of them would have to study by themselves, and then you'd take another class. And
How many years did you teach?
I just taught 1 year in the country school. Then I taught 2 years at Keswick, Iowa, and 5.5 years at Dow's. And the reason I taught a half a year was I went to UNI and got my certificate renewed. And then I got a job in the middle of the year at Dow's. So I taught 8.5 years altogether.
When you were teaching in the Bradford area, is there one that were the students pretty well behaved, or nowadays I hear so much about how a lot of them can be sassy?
This school that I taught at, they had a man teacher before, and they really gave him a rugged time, but I didn't seem to have too much trouble, except I kept a couple boys the first day of school. We went for a walk, and I said if they didn't stay together, they'd have to stay after school. And so then one of the boys said, my mother's going to come up here and fire you. And but I never did see her. But I didn't have too much trouble. I always went out and played with the kids at recess time, and so.
When you, at your country school, do you remember how many kids were there?
That I taught?
Yes.
Oh, about 16, I think.
And they would be anywhere from 5 to 12 or 13.
In fact, I had one little girl that was in kindergarten, and she was only 4, and she'd fall asleep for me all the time, but we got through it.
And now, when you were a teenager, what were social events when you were teaching? Do you remember what you? Well, first of all, do you remember what you made? Your salary?
$55 a month at teaching country school. Give a program for a couple programs a year in the country school. And I remember the first one, we practiced all our pieces and stuff in the daytime, and we were going to have that at night. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, I don't have any light. So there was a fella down the road that I knew. Well, in fact, in the wintertime I stayed at their place, and so he hurried up and got some of these lanterns that you hung up, and that's the light that we had.
Tell me about your church.
Okay, went to country church, Grant Center. It was about 4 miles from where we lived, and I was baptized there and confirmed there and married in that church. But now it's torn down. And we always went to Sunday school, and we went to church just about. My dad didn't always go every Sunday, but somebody usually went. And what I thought at that time was strange, the men sat on one side, and the women and the kids sat on the other side of the church. And so they didn't have to take care of the kids. And we had
How did you meet your husband?
Well, he was home on a furlough, and he came with his sister, Minnie Klein, out to my mother's to buy a place for his mother and his brother, who stayed at home too. He had a brother that lived with his mother, and my mother owned a house in Alden. So I was home at the time, and that was in the afternoon, and that night he called me for a date, and that was Saturday night, and then we went to a show uptown, and then I saw him again Sunday afternoon, and he had to leave. And so the rest was done by correspondence till he got out of service. So, and he got out in, let's see, 44, and we got married in 48.
Did you know Lewis was the one when you first met him?
No, not exactly.
Did you kiss him the first night?
Probably did, because he was leaving.
Gladys and Lewis did marry, raised her family, and chose Owl Falls to live. In this story, Gladys talks about a Delco light plant, and it was a generator that would run and charge batteries so you could have some light at night. And then there's a telephone, a party line phone, which meant you had 6 to 12 families on the same line. And when your phone rang, all party line members could and would usually listen in. And this is a washing machine, and you can see the handle at the top, which you would agitate the clothes and get them clean. And then there's the outhouse, the outside bathroom, and everybody had one.